Hello. Hi, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well out there. This is Sister Candace. Yeah, just, thought I would step on live and, just say hello and just thank everyone again for all the prayers. Just grateful to have the room tonight. Grateful to Yahuwah. Um, yeah, it's just, it's a good thing to have community and things of that nature. It really is. It's just sometimes, the reason I created my channel, really, NARC free, it is to be just that. Nobody wants to be micromanaged, controlled, every little detail. They're being critiqued, picked apart. Um, yeah, being homeless is not easy. Um, but I'm grateful that I have Yahushua by my side. I walk humbly with my God, with the God of Israel. And I still have a lot to learn on this journey and grow spiritually, emotionally grow. It's a lot. And if you've never been homeless, it's so easy for people to judge, right? And, yeah, like I remember this one religious fellowship I was in, you know, the man was saying how coffee was of the devil and all this stuff. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I like being narc free for that very reason, it's like yeah, if you've never like experienced narcissistic abuse, maybe you wouldn't understand it, but especially like even in faith families, right? Where something as simple as eating in a restaurant or because there is nowhere for you to go, you're homeless, and hearing your brother or sister saying, that's not where Yahuwah wants you to be, or at the gym, and you know it's like, yeah, why not? We are supposed to be caring for our temple, and I'm just grateful and thankful to Yahuwah, of course, that I actually do have a gym membership and I still dress modestly to the gym because, we still have to live life. We still have to, go to the grocery store and do things and, go about different places. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where, being on this journey and going through like what I'm going through personally. Yeah, dealing with narcissistic men who have like pornography addictions and things like that, where I couldn't, enter a gym and stuff. That's why, like I said, I like being narc free. I like being single. I like being with the Most High, because He teaches me and He walks with me on how to, be in these situations and still be a daughter of the Most High. Um, and heal those wounds, because we live in such a world on social media where people are constantly comparing themselves to other people, and comparison is the thief of joy. So just to be able to have my channel, and I'm thankful to all the new subscribers, the people who do pray, the people who have supported, me and donated and things of that nature. I don't sell merch or anything, and I don't partner with YouTube, um, simply because if, you do get banned on here, they take your money. So yeah, it's just and I don't do this for monetary gain, regardless of how many likes, views, this is what I choose to do. Hello, hey there, how you doing? Thanks for being here. Hello. So yeah, I do this from the heart. It just so happens that yeah, I've been going through a struggle for quite a long time. I probably don't keep all the feast days perfectly, and the calendars and the Sabbaths, and this is a journey, it's a walk. And yes, we need to be doing these things, right? I'm just grateful that Yahuwah opened my eyes, and because He doesn't put this kind of wisdom, and he doesn't remove the scales off my eyes. If I was truly wicked and evil to the core, he won't put this knowledge and this wisdom in an evil person or an evil soul. I think I read that somewhere, so forgive me if I'm misquoting, but I would have to look it up. But yeah, it's something to that nature, right? Where there's something that Yahuwah sees in me, and I'm grateful. And I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy to share these messages to, sometimes, yes, I will see a brother or sister posts on other platforms, and I will certainly repost it here on YouTube as well if I'm in agreement in the Ruach and the Spirit, because no one owns the truth. And that's one thing I've learned on this journey, right? I'm not doing this for my name's sake. We have to be doing it for the name of Yahuwah. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of folks who, you know, I have to be mindful and set those boundaries, right, with folks, because I grew up in a narcissistic, dysfunctional family, and I just would feel, that everything I was doing is wrong. Like now, like I shouldn't be sitting in this gym. Oh my gosh, it's wrong. I shouldn't be in this restaurant. Oh my gosh, it's wrong. Like I grew up in those kinds of families, and, you know, just everything, I don't know. It can be, you just got to live your life and do what Yahuwah called you to do. Because there's a lot of comparison on social media. There's people who aren't going to agree that you go to a gym, but I know how I'm not going to a gym to lust on someone. I'm going there because I have to shower. I'm homeless. I heard another YouTuber, I think it was someone in the faith, judging people that go to the gym and stuff. It's just become, yeah, it can become very, that's why I said it. Sometimes it's best to be truly narc free, right? Because, yeah, it's like I'm not going to the gym to, for lustful reasons. You know what I'm saying? To look at people and lust on people, because we have to live in this world. And how did, I'm not ashamed to. I've brought my scripture book to the gym. I dress modestly to the gym, um, and yeah, like at first I wasn't really wanting to go because, like I said, when if anyone else has gone through that with a narcissistic man, addicted to pornography and stuff, it took me a little while to build my confidence up, and now I can go to the gym and um, take my shower, and at the gym, for someone who's homeless, that's a huge big deal. So yeah, and even when I wasn't homeless and I had my apartment in Texas, I would still go to the gym because I'm dressed modestly. I'm still set apart from the rest of the world. That's my choice, right? um I choose to dress that way. No one's telling me to, but yeah, you grow in your walk, you mature, and there's plenty of nice, modest gym outfits. I've gone to the gym, and in Texas, in Houston, I think. Yeah, when I was traveling and stuff. So yeah, having that membership is a real blessing, and yeah, it is, especially when you're homeless, and you need to shower and you're a woman and stuff like that. Like, yeah, because a lot of people are judgmental, right? They really are. And if you're homeless and you're really looking, you know, um, like a homeless person, like you haven't showered in days and things of that nature, yeah, people are very nasty towards you. They could be judgmental, because, yeah, the love of many certainly has waxed cold in this wicked world that we live in. Um, so, yeah, sometimes I have to be mindful to just, hear things and remember, that only Yahuwah knows, my life and my situation, and I just, and as long as I know that, I'm doing my best to wake up others to the best of my ability with the gifts that he's given me, that I'm not going to look like everyone else, and I'm not even going to look like everyone else who worships Yahuwah, because I'm me. Um, People may or may not like my style of preaching, and, and whatever it may be, right? We're all very different, right? And I've been called out for a long time, of, religion and just, the church in general. Like I said, the Most High Yahuwah woke me up through a dream. And I'm not worthy. I don't deserve this knowledge, this wisdom, this insight into His Word, into His scriptures. Um, and I just count my blessings. That He's given me this wisdom and this knowledge, and then trying to put forth the effort to heal and to mature in the faith, right? And that's what I'm saying. Um, you know, you might hear things that, could seem like it's an attack towards you, or maybe it is or isn't, or what have you. Um, but yeah, I just think that as a set apart person, to go to the gym and be separate, and, to be modest from the other women and stuff, yeah, like I'm still able to be my true, authentic self, and worship Yahuwah. Even while at the gym, I worship Yahuwah. Um, and I count my blessings, like I said, able to shower and get out of the cold, and, have these little places of refuge like restaurants that you can sit in when you're homeless. Yeah, because, so many are going to be homeless, and it's people think, oh, you must be under a curse. Well, I'm not living in gluttony, and I exercise, and I'm grateful. I'm mindful of my food intake. Um, and what I'm eating and so forth, especially, um, if I do have to eat at a restaurant, because that's the only that's the only opportunity that I have to eat something substantial, you know. So yeah, I just do my best, I do my best to exercise, eat healthy, you know, um, yeah, and being homeless, I'm always walking and moving around, and, like I said, I'm pretty much almost all healed up from that sickness that I had, because I am healthy. And I do, you know, choose to, try my hardest to take care of my temple. I do like sweet coffee and what have you, but thankfully I got my blood work, and yeah, doctor said I'm in good shape. So, I can't complain. Actually, my health is pretty good, and then having the support, you know, from our faith family or whomever, there's support out here, yes. Um, and yeah, there might be brothers and sisters who don't agree that you're going to therapy. You got to do what's best for you. Like, this is a walk with you and the Most High. That's why, yes, religious narcissists will try to control, or, make it seem like you're doing something sinful, but you're really not. You're not. Because even being in the city, you're going to hear secular music. Unfortunately, people ride down the streets and they blast their radios, and you're just going to hear that secular music, or you might be passing through social media and you might hear secular world music or what have you. Yahushua said that we're in the world, we're not of the world. We're going to hear things, we're going to see things, and I kind of had to, um, that's something that I had to learn too, right? Like triggers and things like that on the journey. Like, no one, if something's triggering me, or if I don't like a song, or I don't particularly like how someone may be dressed, maybe revealing and stuff. I know that I'm maturing in my age, for sure. Because there's things that I'm like, wow, these things, I'm starting to see the world, through a biblical worldview. And yeah, I'm just choosing to adhere to, my faith and the principles of my faith. But, yeah, I don't necessarily think it's sinful to have a gym membership, or especially for a homeless person. Definitely not. If you have to shower and have a warm place to go, um, it's like just, you can say that about anything or anywhere, but not everybody has that luxury to have their own apartment. And even when I did have my own apartment, I lived in my apartment, and it was more freeing to kind of, be homeless to some degree, right? This is more freeing, and you really learn to tabernacle with the Most High Yahuwah, not just during Sukkot, right? You're literally tabernacling with the Most High every day. You're relying on faith. You're relying on the unseen things, right? That the Most High is going to provide. Someone is going to come along, and maybe they're going to help and what have you. It's truly relying on faith, and you know yeah, so that's just how I see it. So yeah, I just like I said, I was rigid on a lot of things too when I first came into this walk. I was so rigid on things, and but then I started hanging out with the winners, they say, right? Hang out with the winners, and my heart softened a bit, right? I listened to a lot of great brothers and sisters out there who have, maturity and wisdom and so forth. And yeah, but at the end of the day, I'm just not gonna, condemn someone if they go to the gym or a restaurant. I'm not gonna. I don't think that's, I can't condemn them for that, right? But yeah, I've heard some channels, mention that, that Yahushua or wouldn't be at the restaurant or at a gym, but it's like, well, if he was homeless in this day and age, he might very well, you might find him there. So yeah, we have to use these opportunities, right, to live out our faith, even at the gym. Yeah, the women, they look at me and I'm modestly dressed, and I'm walking in with a headscarf or what have you, a head covering. Yes, because I'm not ashamed of my faith, and where I'm at and how much I've grown, and how, I want to be modest. And yeah, like this is a journey. So I definitely am set apart from Babylon and what this world represents. And for sure, even in my real life, um, you know. So yeah, that's empowering as a woman of faith to still stand on, modesty and biblical principles, and go to the gym. Like, it builds my confidence, my self esteem, for sure. It's something that I certainly enjoy, which is pleasing the Most High, pleasing Yahuwah, and, letting others see, you know, um, you know that I am set apart and that I am different from the rest of this world, and it's okay. Modesty is beautiful. Covering our body is beautiful. So yeah, I don't really have any issues anymore with the gym and being in the gym, because I know that I'm not there for, those reasons to look for a hookup or something. Um, yeah, so that's pretty good, for me, right? It's like I'm maturing in this walk. But yeah, then you do have religious folks and narcissistic religious people who will make you feel bad for doing almost anything. And that's kind of the narcissistic dysfunction that I grew up in. Just yeah, it is kind of cult like, right? And people, so I'm trying to find that balance in my life where I'm making sure that I'm judging with righteous judgment, and not just being critical for no real good reason, right? um yeah, like as set apart people, if people want to choose to go to a restaurant to eat, I mean, that's your business. If people choose to, especially if we don't have a lot of choice, like me, I'm homeless, right? Where I have to sit down somewhere warm and um in a diner or something. Yeah, like there, it's not a sin, it's really not. I don't think going to a gym is sinful, especially, for me, if I'm going as a set apart, woman. I'm modestly dressed, I'm covered, I have my head covering on, whether it's my baseball cap or what have you. I did cut my hair off when I was in Texas, and but I still wear a head covering. That's my choice. I choose to cover my hair, because scripture does talk about covering our hair because of the angels, and having authority over the angels and things like that. So I do take this walk extremely serious, but I'm not a nun, and I have my own style and what forth, and yeah, so like I said, I'm thankful, for the people that are subscribed, learning about narcissism, and has certainly been a very enlightening experience. It's been a spiritual awakening, right? Um, so yeah, like I used to live in such fear, growing up in a narcissistic family, right? And sometimes, yeah, religious families can be that way, right? Our faith family, maybe, we think like, oh, I better not be in this gym because I'm gonna be judged for being here, and or I better not eat at this restaurant or drink a coffee here, like, yeah, I just that's kind of like what it's like being in a narcissistic family, right? And dysfunction and stuff. So I just have to just continue to press forward, um in my walk, and as long, like I said, if people want to judge me with righteous judgment, sure, like, absolutely, and because we all need correction at times, right? Like, I don't think anyone likes to be corrected or chastised, especially, by the Most High, right? But yeah, there's just things that, I might continue to do. Like I said, I was in one fellowship where a narcissistic vegan man was saying coffee was of the devil, and if you're drinking coffee, it's of the devil. And I mean, I don't drink Starbucks coffee, for and when I'm able to, I do purchase organic instant coffee and things of that nature. You do the best you can in this world. It's all anyone can do, but I don't outright eat unclean things. No. I'm checking labels to the best of my ability, and that's it. We do our best. Um, that's all I can do is my best with this world that I'm living in. This matrix, this fake lame world that I'm currently in, right? With a bunch of narcissistic, empathetic kind of personalities, right? No empathy. And I just keep praying to Yahuwah that my love not turn cold. I want my heart to be warm, with love. And so yeah, like setting those boundaries with people, and protecting my peace, and my space, and my ability, so I can grow and I can fill my cup, and be there and be a light for others to the best of my ability, because I'm human, and healing, those childhood wounds and everything, right? Because yeah, some things can be triggering, like where, but I have to remember, like, this is my life, and I have to do my best to stay on the narrow path, and that I will be rejected for my faith, and abandoned, and that Yahuwah will never leave nor forsake me. Um, and He really is, at the end of the day, my only true friend, right? Because yeah, this is just a screen, and we don't know each other past this screen, that's for sure. And I've never walked in your shoes, and no one's ever walked here in my shoes, right? But we can just share our experiences, and yeah, so I just hope that I'm not, taking anything too personal when I hear things, right? But yeah, I'm grateful for my gym membership. I'm grateful that I have a place to shower, because so many in our world right now are suffering, like the people of Gaza. They're suffering. So I'm not going, and for me to be homeless in this nation, the United States, I still am thankful to the Most High for everything, and all the abilities and resources that I do have. because there is an abundance. If you seek, you shall find, right? Seek ye first the kingdom, and all these things shall be added unto you, right? So, yes, seeking Yahuwah first, and all my needs are pretty much met. All my needs, and hopefully I will find affordable housing sooner than later, and yeah, and I don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring. I just take it one day at a time, and I thank the Most High Yahuwah that He delivered me from hard drugs. That I'm not doing hard drugs, and I'm healing, and I'm pressing forward, and yeah, I'm staying clean, and doing the best I can. Um, yeah, so, if people want to judge that I go into a gym, then so be it. If people are going to judge that I sat at a restaurant and I ate, or I had a cup of coffee, then so be it, because this narrow road, this narrow path is not easy. And yeah, I lost my family a long time ago. When and not everyone's going to come on the journey with me, and it hurts, right, to have to detach from these people. But at the end of the day, yeah, we need people in our life that do love us, our best interest at heart, and are gonna, edify one another, right? Edifying one another. Um, so yeah, being homeless is not easy, especially being a woman, so I have to take advantage of these opportunities, um, and I'm grateful because the Planet Fitness membership that I do have, um, it's because of my insurance, so yeah, this is not something that I'm paying directly out of pocket, but I'm grateful and I'm thankful to the Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I have these little places that I can go, because so many homeless people don't have, the resources and the opportunities that I have, because I advocate for myself, and I don't give up, and I keep making phone calls and pressing forward, and I'm able to get the room to get off the streets, and yeah, I'm pretty good at advocating for myself, and I'm grateful that I have a voice and I can speak up, because so many don't or can't, or they don't have people who love them, who advocate for them, right? I have to advocate for myself. So I was able to get the Planet Fitness silver sneakers. For those who want to know, it's called silver sneakers. And if you're homeless or what have you, or you don't have to be homeless, yeah, some gyms have pools, for so like if you're struggling with obesity, you can, go and exercise in a pool, or what have you. I mean, yeah, we have to be healthy out here. We have to be physically fit as well as spiritually, mentally, and emotionally fit. So it's a blessing to have these opportunities, and I'm grateful. But anyhow, guys, so yeah, just, continue to keep me in prayer, and I'm just going to continue to be set apart, and continue to, just thank the Most High for these opportunities, like the gym, and, things of that nature, because so many are out here struggling and they're homeless, and they don't have these opportunities, or don't know how to, get these resources. And I just pray that you do, and that you stay strong out there, and you stay vigilant and stay prayed up, family, because the days are wicked. All right, guys. Good night. Be careful.